Hi there, I'm Stacey Delo, CEO of Après and co-author of Your Turn, Careers, Kids, and Comebacks, A Working Mother's Guide. I'm delighted to be here with you today to talk about strategies to retain mothers at work, a topic that I'm passionate about as the leader of a business that helps return mothers to the workforce after career breaks for caregiving, and also as a working mother of two. So I'd like to begin our time together with a question for you. How many of you are parents? And you can just raise your hands. And how many of you who are parents had access to paid leave through an employer when you had your children? So typically when I ask these questions, a large number of hands goes up with the first and the majority of hands comes down with the second. And that's not surprising. Just 20% of privately employed workers in the United States have access to paid leave through an employer. The rest have access to 12 weeks of unpaid job protection, so long as they work for a company that employs 50 people or more. And 1 in 4 women goes back to work just 10 days after giving birth. So I share this information as an opening example because it often really surprises people. We believe we're doing better on behalf of mothers, but it really sets the scene for the reality of the challenges that working mothers face and the work that can be done by companies to keep them. So what I'd like to talk to you about today are 3 strategies that we know through our work go a long way in retaining mothers and offer you some ideas on how to get started implementing them. So let's get going. The first strategy I want to talk about is to offer generous paid leave. We know that when Google upped the number of weeks that it offered from 12 to 18, that the number of new mothers who quit decreased by 50%. So what this tells us is that it's important to maximize the number of weeks that you are able to offer. Take a look around and see what your competitors are offering. Try to meet that and do better. Next, you want to create a culture where leave is taken to the full extent offered, not just by mothers, but by fathers and leaders as well. And finally, focus on the return. As new moms onboard back into the workforce, think about part-time schedules and even career coaching. The second strategy we know that helps retain mothers at work is to boost your childcare options. Good childcare is critical to a mother's ability to be present and productive at work. It's also one of the largest financial strains on American families, accounting for 20% of take-home pay, and in some cases, costing annually more than a college tuition. So companies can turn to things like subsidies, stipends, partnering with backup childcare providers like Bright Horizons, so that when a caregiver is sick, mom can still get to work. They can also think about going big with on-site childcare programs like Patagonia, where retention of new mothers is 100%. Or think about something more cost-effective, like a kids' room, where kids are invited after school to the office to do homework and to hang out until it's time for mom or dad to go home. And the third strategy for today is to be flexible. Flexibility is the #1 request among working mothers that we talk to, and lack of flexibility is a key driver of women from the workforce. It's important for companies to be open to new and creative work structures that are delivered equitably and without penalty. A flexible program that mothers don't take because they're afraid to doesn't work. You can ask your leaders to model their flexibility through simple tools like an email that lets everyone know the CEO is on vacation, or through the calendar app with a note that messages a manager is leaving at 4 p.m. for basketball practice. And finally, train your managers to manage for performance and not for hours worked. Losing talent is expensive, but through generous paid leave, boosting childcare options, and being flexible, companies can save costs, retain mothers, and attract the best talent. I've enjoyed being here with you today. Thank you for having me, and I hope you'll follow up with questions.